Hello and welcome everyone to the second dev diary for Chromatic Void. If you're just now joining us, this is a dev diary series for our indie game that is currently in development. So last time we kind of went over the basic mechanics of what the game kind of entails. This time we're going to see what progress has been made with the engine and kind of go over some of the more artistic direction that we're trying to flesh out for the project. So in the last entry, we went over Void's basic movement and the basic game mechanics, but there were a few problems in the mechanics that we showed off last week. Namely, that when you tried to dash and stomp in quick succession, the game would freak out and like continue to push you forward like after you hit the ground. We have since corrected that bug. And the other one is that you can actually like dash out of a stomp, which I think is actually really cool for regaining momentum once you're back on the ground. So that is where we've gone with that. So we'll kind of move forward. The other one was that when approaching these jump walls, you could dash off of them before, but there was a small error where like dashing off of the wall would actually drive you further into the wall and it would break everything. So for now, that has been removed for the time being. But what you can do is if you're clinging to a wall and you decide you want to go down quickly, you can grab it and then stomp down to the ground. That still functions on a wall. That just drives you back down. You let go of the wall. Before, one of the problems was that if you were holding the wall and you tried to stomp, the particle effects would appear and the character would move, like begin to move properly, but they would still adhere to the wall, like they wouldn't drop properly. So that has been corrected as well. So a few minor bug fixes as far as movement is concerned, but overall, just kind of making steady progress. Now, the big thing that we do have going is we are working on implementing a new ability. So there is an idea going through process right now of the ability to slow down time, pick a target, and then like quickly samurai slash-esque through them, like drive the character forward across the screen, slashing through a targeted enemy. So that is currently in development, and at the moment, the most we have is the ability to slow down time, which is still pretty cool. So we're gonna move around a little bit and boo. All right, cool. The slowdown mechanic has been implemented successfully. Now all that's left to do is find a way to get the targeting reticle to follow either the mouse cursor or an analog stick and align with enemies on a 2D plane so that we can target them and cut through them. The movement for that should be pretty easy to get to once we get in there, but right now, that is where we're at. So not a lot of major changes with the engine. There's that slow-mo. But I also said we're going to be going over some of the more artistic aspects today. So let's take a look at our characters first. Characters are, kind of the driving force of a platformer. You spend the most time with them. So I wanted to go ahead and introduce our character, Void. So Void is this anthropomorphic black cat. He's got kind of a snarky personality and multicolored eyes. And you'll notice that as of the last video in this one, his thumbnail should have changed a bit because before he was kind of working with white gloves. We had him in white gray gloves kind of, but we decided that a better color scheme was to kind of make them purple, to kind of tie his color scheme together a little bit more between his scarf and the rest of his body. And I think we're really liking that change. Our artist has drawn up a few expressions that really kind of help to convey aspects of his personality. I like the wide-eyed, kind of dazzled look a lot for me. But our protagonist is only as good as his antagonist. So what do we have in that respect? The first level we're focusing on is called Neon Jungle, and its boss is an enemy known as Lightning Leo. Leo, king of the jungle, electric mafia boss here. So this is our first concept sketch of Lightning Leo, and it's brought about a very interesting idea that we want to present visually in the game. You can see his vibrant color scheme kind of pops a lot, but also where Void doesn't have a lot of outline going on, it would mostly be white where you can see it. Leo has like a very contrasted neon purple to outline his neon yellow figure, but it makes him pop a lot. So we'll definitely be experimenting with different lighting styles and outline techniques to kind of make the character pop like that in game. That being said, Leo here looks great. I love the attitude. You can see like his lightning eyebrows going here. He's got lots of lightning bolt motifs in his design, and we're going to be experimenting a little bit. I know we've got some references we're going to try and work in there, but this is where he's at right now. And by comparison, I think we're probably going to scale him up a little bit more compared to Void. Like, he should be kind of a more towering presence, but overall, really cool concept for him. And then we have our enemy design. So the first level is kind of like a hybrid urban jungle sort of vibe to it. So we've got lots of enemies that kind of fit the vibe of that. The first round here is kind of like the vermin, if you will. You have the rat, and we have this cute one with his cone over his head, and I really like it. We have our pigeon and our moth over here, you know, just kind of common things that you would associate with a city environment given the aesthetic that we're looking for. So I think these are really fun. Our artist did a really good job on these, and I am going to throw up the artist names for all of these. Our artist for Void and Lightning Leo is J.E. Alter on Twitter, and the artist for the enemy designs is at Black Cyclock on Twitter. Follow them. They both do a lot of really cool stuff. So the next thing we're going to look at is our environment. So we wanted to kind of have a very big city, kind of San Francisco vibe. So we've got some reference images in that vein. So we have, you know, the city and the bay, and it looks really cool with that cityscape in the background. It'll be darker. It should be at night. So that is something we're going to address moving forward. But we also have, you know, some night shots. You can see these cool neon lights and the way that the lights reflect from the city streets and all these vibrant colors coming together. Like, that's the idea that we want to convey in this first level. And in that same vein, we have a lot of other really cool references to kind of start paving the way for that idea, like neon edges on all of these oriental buildings, and it looks really cool. I love these aesthetics. And to that end, we've kind of drafted a couple of concepts. So this one, you have, you know, like these towering kind of sequoia-esque trees and these neon lights integrated into them in a hotel sort of sense. And this little strip of road here is just kind of like a very kind of just mostly going for the visual of what we want to do. Again, I'm not necessarily the greatest artist, but this is just kind of a rough idea. Now, one of our other artists, proper artists on the team, is assembling a proper construction of what the city should be. So things in nature like, you know, stumps hollowed out and turned into buildings or into other applications that you would find in a city, and just kind of fleshing out this thing with some really cool visuals based on the concepts that we have. So we're definitely working our way in the right direction, and we're going to have a lot more on that as we continue moving forward. And the other thing is we would like to kind of integrate some very unique flora into the environment, some unique plants, and our artist went ahead and drafted up a few examples of some stuff that might work really well. And for one, I really like the dragon's breath. I think it has a lot of potential as like a good scene, as like a good visual within the scene, as well as an item or object to be used by Void as like a spring or a jump pad, however you would like to think of it, something that can be used dynamically and looks really cool. And so that is kind of the visual direction that we're moving things towards. We want to, you know, really emphasize vibrant colors and distinct silhouettes to really help the characters and the environments pop. So for next week, we're going to continue moving forward with the art as far as character development on Lightning Leo and the backgrounds. And we're going to continue refining the engine. If there are any more bug fixes to be made, we're going to work on those. And we're going to continue trying to implement new abilities based on the other bosses to come in the game. So, as always, I would love to hear feedback from you guys out there in the community about what you think of what we have so far. If you have thoughts or suggestions regarding the environments or the ideas that we have planned, please feel free to let us know in the comments below. And we will be back for another Dev Diary next week. Until next time, take care.